Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. It's 27 degrees Celsius in this part of the world. It's a little bit sunny out here, very bright morning, and I'm so excited and of course, grateful for life to be with you here this morning as we will be taking another fresh new look at the financial market. Well, the last 24 hours has been quite, let me say, a little bit risk averse. I think it's more or less risk averse as majority in the market are still trying to test waters, digest the economic features from last week's trading session in anticipation of the high impactful event we are looking forward to this week. And as a result of this, we can see what is going on across the pairs. In fact, all of the assets we've been monitoring since the beginning of the week, price action has been more or less range bound to emphasize the level of uncertainty that is going on in the market right now. I know it can be a little bit tiring, especially if you are the type that monitor every inch of price action. But one thing for sure is that we do have structures that we will be using to guide our decisions for today. And if we can follow through and allow our structures to mature, definitely we will be in a profitable position. So we are going to be taking a quick look into what is really going on in the market from a technical standpoint today in preparation for both the London and the New York session. Well, so far this week we have been monitoring three major assets, which includes the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, which is popularly known as the gold spot. And we're still struggling. Of course, we're still struggling, but we will gain some momentum. And I remember I made mention of the high impactful event we are looking forward to this week. We have a couple of speeches from the Bank of England's governor, the Fed's chairman, and of course, we also have speeches from the Federal Reserve officials, the Bank of England officials as well. And then we're also looking forward to the GDP data and the inflation data from the United States all coming up this week. So it's very, very understandable why price action is in such a limbo at this point in time. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you're highly welcome on board, and I'm very glad to have you around with us this morning. And I know you will be asking or wondering what is this all about and what we really do on this platform. Well, the Forex Morning Mastery is a platform where we as technical traders usually gather on a daily basis to do follow-ups and reviews of our current and existing positions in preparation for both the London and the New York session. It usually kickstarts 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, and I recommend that you stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of the valuable insights that we will be deliberating on today. My aim is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to make informed trading decisions independently. And the more time you spend with me, the better you will get to understand our analytical approach and utilize the information gathered here to make your own trading decisions and strategies. So once again, I welcome you on board and I encourage you to engage in the comment section. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business. I see your comment, Jonah Aruna. Good morning to you. Hiker's Diary, good morning. Philis Miwiaki, good morning to you. I hope I'm pronouncing your name very well, Philis. Please let me know in the comment section if I'm doing well. And if I'm not, so I just readjust myself in pronouncing your name. Hello, Kelechi. How are you doing today? Good morning to you too as well. I'm very excited to have you around with us this morning. So with that being said, let's dive right into the business. And as usual, the first thing we normally do is to check on the economic calendar. And for those of you who have been with me for a while now, You know how important this is, as these fundamental factors usually manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. Now, by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on the next potential move prior, during, and even after this economic event. Now, based on the assets we've been monitoring since the beginning of the week, we will be focusing on both the economic features from the United States and the United Kingdom. Now, for today, Tuesday, November 28th, we do not have any high impactful event to look out for, but I think we have something on the, if we include the medium impact event. So let's see what we have here. So for today, as you will see, we have a bunch of speeches cutting across both the United States and the United Kingdom economic docket, which makes today another very crucial moment for us all, as whatever these executives or officials will be saying today will be giving us an insight into the monetary policy outlook of their central banks, the economic outlook, and of course monetary policy stands as well, and then if there are any potential future policy actions. And this will be sending a significant impact to the market, affecting the sentiments of traders and investors, who will definitely be closely analyzing the rhetoric for clues about future policy direction. So today is jam-packed with a lot of speeches. We have the Bank of England Ramsden speech, which supposed to have happened earlier today. Then we also have Goldsby later today. We have Weller, we have Bauman, all from the United States, and then Alscal. So this event here will be on the radar of everyone, and in the anticipation of this event, we're definitely going to be seeing reflection on the chart as price action. Then another one we also want to be keeping tabs with is the housing price index from the United States economic docket. Now, for those who don't know, the housing price index is released by the Federal Housing Finance Agency, and in fact it provides us with an estimated value of housing market conditions. It is an important indicator, as the housing market sector, the housing sector, is considered one of the most sensitive factors to the US economy, and of course a high reading will be considered as positive for the US dollar. Now, looking at the data we have here from the previous month, which was in August, we have 0.6% growth, and in the month of economists are projecting 0.4% growth for this month, which is a little bit lower than the previous month, which is a sign that there is likely going to be a contraction in that regard. Then we're also looking forward to the Consumer Confidence Index, which is a survey gauging sentiment amongst consumers in the United States, reflecting the prevailing business conditions and likely development for the months ahead. Now, the data also shows us whether or not consumers are willing to spend money, which is a key factor in consumer spending in the economy as well. Now, a higher reading will be considered as positive, while a low reading will be considered as negative. So on this one, on the economic calendar here, we do not have any data at all for the previous month, neither do we have any for the consensus, but maybe probably an hour or two before the event, we will be seeing something come up on that one. So we also look forward to what the actual data will be on that one. So today it's another interesting day. So let's buckle up and let's get ready to capitalize on the next move that will likely happen today. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business. And as usual, the first asset we will be looking at this morning, I just hope it loads up quickly as expected. So while I wait for it to load up, I see, okay, Eric Mudavadi, good morning to you. Glad to have you around with us this morning too. Okay, so finally it's just loaded up. So the next asset we will be looking at this morning is going to be the USOILSPOT. Now, before I go into the details, I do quickly want to mention that for those of you who are joining for the first time, that we usually focus on the 1 hour time frame during the Forex Morning Mastery. And in fact, if you do want to have a background knowledge of how we got to this point, you're seeing on your screen how we were able to identify the levels, the trend lines, the patterns, the structures. Then you will need to watch my previous videos on this asset, where we did a top-down analysis into the higher time frame. If you missed out on them, you can check the links in the description box below, so you can watch it after the live session. So now back into the business. So this morning I shared an update on the USOILSPOT, and I talked about yesterday was not a good it wasn't a good start for us this week at all. We had a sell position triggered, price took us out at break even. The buy stop order also got triggered at the $75.75 level, and then we got stopped out in a loss on that buy position as well. And since then, price action has been within a consolidation phase, characterized with more of a choppy situation. And as it is right now, both buyers and sellers have the tendency of pushing price either way. It could either go up and it could either go down, but we will be using our structures to guide how we will be positioning ourselves for today. However, it is also important for us to understand the factors that are driving the psychology behind the price movement we are seeing on the chart. Yesterday we saw a decline, an initial decline of about 0.22% of price action, and this was due to the delay in the OPEC Plus reunion, as there was a little bit of misunderstanding. There was a disagreement amongst members as regards to production targets for the year, and though I think it was later on resolved later in the day. And in light of this, analysts are anticipating OPEC Plus to potentially extend or deepen production cuts into next year's trading session. So as it is right now, we are in a limbo, as you will see that during our live session yesterday, we talked about how price action was initially confined within the $75.75 level and the $74.80 area, as you will see here, giving us an insight into the indecision going on at that point in time. Now it appears that the range has expanded into the $74.15 level, which happens to be the lowest point price action has been for this week. Now, one thing you would notice here within this range is how price action had consistently found higher lows after testing that $74.15 level, as you will see here. The next attempt by sellers to break through the structure was around the $74.80 level, which failed. And then we saw what happened again about 3-4 hours ago, as sellers were losing momentum as price action gradually finds new highs. Now, as a result of this, whenever we notice the series of higher lows, it's a sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum. And the next thing we want to be doing is to mark out that those pivot lows to give us a trend line to work with. So I would like to thicken this a little bit to emphasize its importance on the structure. So we bring back our candle chart to ensure that we have them duly tested. Okay, beautiful. So this ascending trend line here, though we are within a range, we are within a consolidation phase, but the fact that we are noticing higher lows within the consolidation phase is more or less a sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes. Then another thing we saw after price broke out of that $75.75 level yesterday was the where price that candle closed, it closed in the form of a shooting star candle, which technically tells us that sellers are very present here, as this level still remains a barrier for buyers to break out of the structure. And if we take it a step further to look at the way things are unfolding, considering the impulsive bearish leg, it appears price action is transitioning into what may look like a reversal pattern. And in fact, I would need price action to take out the $75.75 level to give me confirmations that truly we are going bullish on this particular one. So in that regard, I maintain my buy position again at the $75.75 level with the hopes that price will climb to the upside on that one. Then I also want to emphasize how crucial that $75.75 level is, as you will see here that it also shares a confluence with the descended trend line we identified on the higher time frame. So if price will break out both the $75.75 level and the trend line, then we might likely be seeing an uptrend scenario here. So I'm holding on to a bullish bias based on what we are seeing in the current market conditions at this point in time. However, if we do want to consider selling the US or spot, what is it that we are going to be seeing on this chart that will make us feel comfortable joining a bearish move? Well, we've mentioned earlier that we have an ascending trend line, right? So we have an ascending trend line duly marked out, and the only condition that will make us sell is price action to break down the ascending trend line. And coupled with the fact that we have a shooting star candle here, which emphasize the presence of sellers, it will make quite a lot of sense to look out for selling opportunities below the ascending trend line. And interestingly, the ascending trend line also shares a confluence with our key level at the $75 area. And you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains above our key level, we look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying. And if price breaks down the key level, we look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of selling that asset. Now, if price breaks down the ascending trend line, it would also have broken down the key level, making it a good opportunity to look out for selling opportunities. But one thing here is that I would rather want to see some confirmation here before considering selling, something like a breakdown retest of structure before I join the bearish momentum to the downside. Then I can have a sell stop order at the $74.80 and of course the $74.15 level. In fact, if price will break down the $74.15 level, it is very, very likely we are going to be witnessing a massive sell-off in this market. But I will be with you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you update as to what we will be doing if price action ever gets into those structures. So these are my views on the USOILSPOT for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions, after which we move on to the next asset on our watch list. And you can use that time to mark out these levels on your chart too as well. So I see a comment here from Torres Master. Good morning, Torres. Torres says that I have a challenge in entry points and stop losses. How can you help on this? I follow the trades, but I frequently lose. Are you talking about the USOILSPOT? We all lost on the USOILSPOT yesterday. Both buy and sell opportunities. We lost yesterday on the USOILSPOT. So that's how the market happens. Sometimes we lose to make money. Yesterday was very, very choppy as we saw price action went into a range, emphasizing the level of indecision in this particular market. So we all lost yesterday, so it's not a new thing. On the US oil, we lost because price took us out of our position. Remember, I mentioned earlier that we had a buy stop order triggered at the $75.75 level, and we saw price action take us out of that position. So the most important thing right here now is the fact that the right question to ask right now is what is your risk management approach to your account, and how consistent are you using your risk management strategy? It is very, very important. Every move I usually mention this in the market, that every move we make is more or less an educated guess, and if price it's more or less an educated guess until price action hits your TP target. So in that case scenario, make sure you have a risk appetite that you can willingly and be ready to lose even if price action does not go your way. Now, if you are risking too much on your account, it will definitely affect your emotions and it will affect your decisions afterwards. And in fact, when it's time for you to now capitalize on that big move, you may miss out on it because you are no longer sure if price action will go in that way. So personally, for me, I risk between 0.5 to 1% of my account size on every single trade I take. And if I lose 3 positions or 4 positions or 5 positions at a stretch, the minimum will be between 2.5 to a maximum of 5% of my portfolio that I will be losing at that point in time. So it is very, very important. The reason why we usually get concerns about losing positions is simply because of our risk management approach. So I will encourage you to work on that one right there, Torres Master. So in the absence of no other questions, I do hope I made myself clear. And in that regard, we want to be moving on to the next asset on our watch list. All right, so the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD and the cable market, of course, and the same scenario I mentioned earlier still happens and still is going on in this market as well. As you will see, price action has been in the range since the beginning of the week. As you will see, the highest point price action has been for this week is the 1.26380 area, and we saw how the pound started the week on a positive note. For me, I think that the pound is riding on the weaker US dollar, which is more or less impacted by the sluggish US Treasury bond yields that has been the center of focus in the recent days. Now, the strength of the pound sterling reflects the resilient nature of the United Kingdom economy. Remember, last week we witnessed the PMI, the S&P global publication, all of which came in beyond expectations, giving us a positive outlook to the United Kingdom economy. And of course, the inflation rate of the UK is gradually reducing. At this point, at the last time I checked, it was 4.6%. Remember, it was as high as 7 or 8 at the beginning of the year, but gradually it's dropping, and though it's still short of the target, which is at 2%. So things are still looking very promising for the pound sterling, and from an holistic perspective, I'm still of the opinion that this market is very, very bullish. Now, let's quickly look at the technical nature of what price action is saying at this point, and for the sake of those who missed out on our earlier editions, so that they can also be on the same page with us. So at the beginning of the week, we acknowledged that price action was within a range that was between the 1.26110 level and the 1.25910 area, oscillating just right around that our key level, which was characterized by both buying and selling opportunities on the higher time frame. Remember how crucial this level had been in determining the direction of price action on the higher time frame. So that was why we used the 1.26 area as our key level. And of course, you know how we use our key level. As long as price remains above the key level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying that asset. Now, with that in place yesterday, we positioned ourselves just right above the resistance line of that range at the 1.26110 area to capitalize on that uptrend move, and we rode that move all the way to the upside. As you see, price moved about 30 pips, not that much. The market is still in a limbo right now due to the anticipation of the event we are looking forward to for this week. So I still have my buy positions running. I have two buy positions running. The first one right here is running in a loss because I'm yet to move my stop loss on that one because price did not really move that well. And then the second one is running in a reasonable amount. How many pips of profit on the second one right here? So the second one is running with about, let's see, how many pips? That's about 8 pips. So it's not really that much, as we're still struggling to see where price will be going on this one. So on the GBPUSD, we are still trying to monitor how price action will move for today. But one thing I was able to come up with this morning that will help us to guide our decisions for today's trading session is this newly identified ascending trend line. And of course, I did mention this in my commentary this morning. For those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, I mentioned the ascending trend line, which I said it's going to be our guiding light for today's trading session. And depending on how price reacts to this ascending trend line will determine if we are going to be going bullish or bearish for today. But one thing I would like to state here is that even if price breaks down the ascending trend line, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have lost the bullish momentum in this particular market, as the breakdown of the ascending trend line could be a retracement of the impulsive move that started a couple of weeks ago. Remember, price action has been on a very, very strong bullish momentum. Let me just give you a quick look into what things are looking like on the 4 hours time frame. So remember, we had the structure marked out on the 4 hours time frame where we saw this beautiful ascending channel that we saw here, and we also emphasized how price action is currently trading at the resistance line of that ascending channel. And usually when price gets into the ascending channel, into the resistant line of the ascending channel, we see retracement moves, and right now price is back into that area. Are we going to be seeing a retracement move to the downside, or price will be breaking out of the resistant line to give us an opportunity to buy? So that is where we are right now, as we are looking and waiting for cues from the economic events that are coming up later today. So I just wanted us to see what things are looking like on the higher time frame. So let's scale back down. So if price will drop and break down that newly identified ascending trend line, doesn't necessarily take out the bullish perspective here. So price could still drop into the 1.25 to incite an uptrend, or even drop into the support line of that channel to incite an uptrend scenario. So it's still very, very bullish. So if we are going to be selling the GBPUSD today, if price breaks down that 1.26 or the ascending trend line, then this will be a counter trend opportunity, maybe back into this ascending trend line here that will be dovetailing to about 100 pips there, about minimum. And if it goes further to the support line of the ascending channel, we could be seeing something like 200 to 300 pips on that one. So at this point in time, I still have a buy position running with the hopes that price will continue to the upside. And in fact, if price breaks out of this highest point at the 1.26380 level, I'm of the opinion that this will be a very, very good signal that we are going to be going to the upside. So let's see how the market plays out now. So price is back into the entry point of the second position right now. So it's still bullish for me at this point in time. However, if I want to start considering selling, I will need some significant confirmations to happen on this chart. As you will see that since the beginning of this week, we have been noticing selling pressure around the 1.26380. As it is right now, this area is still a solid barrier for buyers in this market, and not until price breaks out of the structure will I feel comfortable in this buy position. So in this regard, because of the sell pressure, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers as well. Now, what is it I want to see here that will make me consider selling? Well, the breakdown of the 1.26110 area, retest of structure. I will need my retest of structure to happen in this case scenario. Remember, we are in a very strong bullish momentum, and if we want to be joining a counter trend opportunity here, we need to see price action give us a significant confirmation before jumping into any position. And if a retest of structure happens, giving us signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the ascending trend line, then at this point we could sell, then have a sell stop order below the 1.2600 area to join the move to the downside. So this is how we are going to be managing the sell position on this one. We also have levels at the 1.259 area, which happens to be the lowest point price action has been for this week. And if it breaks down that area as well, we look out for more selling opportunity. But at this point in time, I still maintain a bullish bias. But if structure says we are going bearish, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. These are my views on the GBPUSD for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And you can also use that time the time I'll be taking off to mark out these levels on your chart. You're welcome, Torres Master, and thanks for the compliment. I see you write GBPUSD. What do you mean by GBPUSD, Torres Master? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that. Okay. So in the absence of no further questions, I will take this as a confirmation that we are all good to go this morning. Okay, I can see another comment here from Kelechi. What is your take as regards to the rising wedge forming on the GBPUSD 4 hours time frame? Rising wedge on the 4 hours time frame. You mean this one right here? If it's this one, well, I just told you my take on it. I'm looking for the breakdown of the 1.26. Something, it's called fall in alignment with the theoretical expectation. It might not fall in alignment with the theoretical expectation. So we want to be as dynamic as possible, open as possible, so that we don't miss out on any opportunities here. So I already mentioned what I will be looking out for. Usually when we see this kind of rising wedge, it more or less tells us that price wants to reverse, of course. And I did mention how we want to be capitalizing on selling opportunities. And I did mention here on the 4 hour, on the 1 hour time frame, that the only condition that will make me want to sell is for price to break down and retest of that structure before I want to be joining any bearish move to the downside. So I already talked about it on the 1 hour time frame. Kelechi, or is there something about it I'm not saying that you want me to talk about? Please feel free to let me know in the comment section. Thank you very much. Krishna Veni, good morning to you. Glad to have you around with us this morning as well. So in the absence of no other questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in that regard, let's move on to the final and last asset on our watch list for today. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold pot. This is my favorite asset amongst the assets I usually follow in my watch list. And we also have an interesting and uncertain situation going on in the market right now. Price has been in a range since yesterday's trading session. As you will see, price action has been confined within the 2018 $102,009.50 level since yesterday's trading session. And for those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, I did emphasize on this important dynamic in this current market structure. So presently we still have our buy positions intact. Remember that we bought the XAUUSD around the 2013 area, and most of yesterday's trading session it was running in a loss for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours before we saw another gain in momentum. And during the Asian session we saw some deep buying happen, giving us signs that the dollar is riding on the weakness of the US dollar, which currently is at a 3-week low. And of course this will be supporting the extension of safe haven assets such as the gold. Now we'll continue to look out for buying opportunities on this current market structure, as everything is still in alignment with the bullish momentum we identified at the beginning of the week. However, it is worth noting that due to the consolidation phase we are seeing on this chart, the level of uncertainty on this chart reveals that buyers are remaining very cautious in placing aggressive bets, especially ahead of the PCE data, the first chairman's speech, and all other events coming in from the United States this week. So majority are very, very cautious at this point, waiting for clues into what will happen from this event. So tomorrow we are looking forward to the GDP from the United States, which will be telling us how well the United States economy expanded in the last quarter. We are looking forward to the Fed chairman's speech, which is later in the week. That was on Friday, I think. Then we are looking forward to the PCE index, which is an inflationary gauge data. And then we're looking forward to some handful of comments from the Fed's officials today too as well. So all of these parameters here are really making participants to be very, very cautious. And this can be seen reflected on the chart as a choppy situation. So I don't really have much to say on the XAUUSD today. I'll just say here is I maintain a bullish bias on this one. Then another thing I would like to call our attention to is the ascending trend line we spotted on the higher time frame. I did this in my weekend videos. If you have not watched it, please go and watch it. You have a detailed understanding into how I identify that trend line and how it's going to be playing a major role in guiding our trading decisions for the week. The links are right in the description box below. Please check it out after the session. So as long as price still remains above this ascending trend line, I will have no business considering selling the XAUUSD. And in fact, if price action can take out the $2018 mark level, which is the highest point price action has been for this week, then we will be looking, this will be in fact be a very good opportunity to join a bullish move. And if price can break out of this level, I'm of the opinion that we might likely see a very strong positive traction in that regard. Then yesterday I did mention, for those of us who are part of the XAUUSD live window, remember I did mention that because of the continuous selling pressure around the 2018 $2015 area, that we might likely be selling the XAUUSD. And I did mention that the only condition that will make us sell is for price to break down the $2009.50 level, retest of structure to join the bearish move, which never happened at all, though price did break down the structure. But as you will see, price, the candle here closed in form of a hammer candle, which from a technical standpoint is a sign that buyers are gaining momentum in this particular market. So I still hold on to a bullish bias here unless price breaks down the ascending trend line. And one interesting thing about the ascending trend line is how it also shares a beautiful confluence with the support line of that range we identified earlier. Now, if price breaks down the $2009.50 level, price would also have broken down the ascending trend line, which would be a beautiful signal that the ascending trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate the bearish attempt. Then at this case scenario, then I would like to consider selling only at a retest of structure, then join the bearish momentum to the downside. Then a further breakdown of the 2005 and the 2050 cent level could welcome more selling opportunities. But if this does not happen and price still remains above the ascending trend line, we will feel we are still going to hold on to a bullish bias. Then there's one more thing I would like to say here. I've been getting a lot of DMs from people asking that a lot of selling pressure has been happening, and that won't we start considering selling? Well, we can't consider selling yet, of course. Now, if price drops, if we see selling pressure drops like this, we shouldn't panic at all. Price is still above the ascending trend line. In fact, it could still come back here to find some buy pressure to incite an uptrend move. So we are not selling yet unless that ascending trend line gets broken to the downside. So this is my simple view here on the XAUUSD for today. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And if you have found this content helpful and useful in making your independent trading decision for today, I would greatly appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact, it also helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders. So thank you very much as you do so. Now, I will be dropping the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment section in a moment, and there we go. So the XAUUSD live window is a platform that we usually come together to monitor real-time price action on the gold asset during the New York session, and it usually kickstarts 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session and lasts for about 5 to 7 hours depending on the level of trading activities for the day. So I look forward to seeing you guys right there in the comment section on the XAUUSD live window as well. And I can see your comment here. Kelechi, that's true. Being dynamic is key. Thank you. All right, you're welcome, Kelechi. We are welcome. I also see your comment here, Files. We are key says that you could add Euro USD in the watch list. Of course, I have quite a lot of assets I do monitor, which I'm always consistent with. The US Tech 100, the US All, the GBPUSD, the USOILSPOT, and the USD JPY, which I haven't traded in about 6 to 7 weeks now due to the sensitivity of where price action has been for the last 1 to 2 months. Another thing I also take into consideration is the availability of time I have with me. Now, the time to analyze is there, but the time to share it here is also there. Right now, I'm having a session in about 30 minutes from now, and because of that, I would not be able to add one more to the asset on our watch list. But let's see if maybe we can start the session earlier than this particular time we have. If we can, if you feel that we should start earlier, please let me know in the comment section. And if there are a lot of people that support the idea of starting earlier, then definitely I can shift it backwards, and then we could have enough time to attend to more assets. So that's what I will say here on Files. I will say here Files. All right, so in the absence of no other questions, please click on the like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much as you do so. And I look forward to seeing you guys right in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we discussed here today. And trust me, the more time you spend with me, the more you get to understand how my analytical approach works, and eventually be able to make your own independent trading decisions using the information you gather in this community. So for today, we were able to attend to the GBPUSD, the USOILSPOT, and the XAUUSD, all of which we were able to identify simple setups that we will be using to guide our trading decisions for today's trading session. And we also talked about the fact that the market is in a limbo right now. It's a little bit choppy, and we all understand why that is happening, as majority of the key players are stepping aside to wait for cues from the economic event that is listed for this week. So let's be patient here. Don't let's give up. Let's be patient. Let's allow our structures to mature. Let's keep calm. If we lose, of course, we will lose. You can only win when you lose. So we learn how to win by losing. So please don't give up, and let's see how the market will play out going forward. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck, and hoping to see you guys same time tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing, and of course prepare for tomorrow's trading session, which promises to be an exciting one. Remember, we are looking forward to the GDP data from the United States economic docket, which will definitely be on everyone's radar for tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day, trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.